So, hey there, welcome back. Today is going to be, oh my gosh, I'm so excited to share this interview with you. Today on Accelerated Investor, I'm interviewing Charlotte Dunford. She is the managing partner of Johns Creek Capital with a focus and a very unique perspective on mobile home park investing. She now owns 27 mobile home parks and has recruited and is managing over $6 million in investor subscriptions through her mobile home parks. And we have a great time today. She is an amazing success story. She immigrated to the United States from China when she was 16 years old with nothing but the belongings in her backpack. She did not know the language. She was able to get herself into college, graduate from college, and today she's one of the founders and partners at Johns Creek Capital, which is a private equity fund focused on mobile home parks. And today we're going to talk about, number one, we're going to talk about affordability and the major home affordability problem that we have in the United States and why mobile home parks fit that solution. Number two, we're going to talk about why she picked mobile home parks and why she considers it an ignored, colder market. Number three, why mobile home parks are basically like investing in land. And number four, why the cap rates and rate of returns on mobile home parks well outperform many other niches. And we're going to talk a little bit about some of the advice that Charlotte would give our audience and why when you have nothing going on, when survival is the only thing you're worried about, why that's a recipe for major long-term success. You're going to love this interview. I loved it on the Accelerated Investor Podcast with me and Charlotte Dunford. Here we go.
Welcome to the Accelerated Investor Podcast with Josh Cantwell. If you're looking to retire early with forever passive income, you're in the right place. This podcast is the go-to destination for real estate investors, both active and passive, and multifamily apartment investors, both new, intermediate, and advanced. Now, sit back, listen, learn, and accelerate your business, your life, and your investing with the Accelerated Investor Podcast.
So, hey, Charlotte, hey, welcome to Accelerated Investor. Thanks for joining me on the show today.
Thank you so much for having me.
I am excited to have you on the show. I am really excited to see what's going on in the mobile home park space right now. I personally have a camper that we stay on in a permanent site on a RV camp park, and I'm very interested to see what's going on with mobile homes and diversifying my own portfolio. So I'm going to pick your brain a little bit about mobile homes. But as we get into it, why don't you just, so our audience can get a little bit more foundation of who you are, what you're up to. Tell us a little bit more about what you're up to right now, something that you're really excited about that you're maybe working on like next week. What's going on in your world that you're fired up about?
Sounds good. So my name is Charlotte Dunford. I am the partner at Johns Creek Capital. So we focus on small to medium level mobile home park investing. So as far as what we're doing this week and next week, we're always closing deals, looking for new deals and talking to different investors about our deals, and just busy operating our current portfolio.
That's great. So do you have something that you're cooking up right now? Like is a property that you're looking to buy in the next month or two?
Right. We have several properties in the pipeline. We have a very active pipeline. So we usually have 2 to 3 deals running at all times. However, I can't talk about them because of SEC regulations, but we do have a very active pipeline.
That's great. Now you guys own over 20 mobile home parks right now.
27.
27?
Right.
Fantastic. So, and what is it about mobile home parks that our audience should know? Let's say one of our audience members is a limited partner and they're looking at mobile home parks. They're looking at self-storage. They're looking at, I just interviewed a guy and we had a great conversation around passive investing in car washes. Obviously we're an expert in multifamily, but what was it about mobile homes for you out of all the different niches that you could have chosen? what attracted you to it, and what are some of the features of it that attracts limited partners?
Right. So what attracted to me to mobile home parks? So there's actually a big difference between mobile homes and mobile home parks. They're totally two different asset classes. So what we do is mobile home parks. It is a land business. The closest thing to mobile home parks would be a parking lot business. So what attracted me to it initially was when I got in late 2019. It was really a blue ocean. So because mobile home parks have been a long ignored sector, unlike multifamily, unlike commercial real estate or single family homes, people have been at this game for decades. But for mobile home parks, it's really been kind of an ignored little niche. So that really attracted me in a way that I was able to get in. And it was a kind of a colder market at the time. And it was, and it still is a little a niche. Instead of competing with 1,000 different other players in the market and getting, putting 1,000 bids on one property and not able to get into it, mobile home park really offered me and a lot of investors a great way to get started, and also at a really attractive cap rate. And fast forward to today, mobile home parks are going up from a market perspective. The market is definitely getting more heated due to the ever-growing affordable housing crisis that our nation faces. And as we go into a recession, our economy gets into the kind of position that it is in right now. Mobile home parks actually become more popular as people are looking for less expensive housing options. So that's what is attractive to me. And I think what's attractive about mobile home parks particularly is still in the year 1 to year 2 of the entire real estate cycle. So we all know real estate has a cycle. It goes up and down. Usually average is 7 years. And mobile home parks is at the beginning of the curve still, meaning that it's still early to get in. So buy and selling real estate, a lot of times is about the wave, right? So if you want to ride the wave, you want to get in at a good time. And I would say right now, and definitely when I started, was very early in the cycle.
Yeah. Wow. That's fantastic. So help me understand the comparison then when you say early in the cycle versus the economy as a whole. We're talking about the end of a cycle, and we're talking about the end of this whole 10-year boom that we've had. And now the Fed's raising rates left and right, and inflation just came out this morning, highest ever in 40 years, 9.1%. A lot of people would say, Charlotte, I don't get that. What do you mean when the economy feels like it's on the back end of a boom, but mobile home parks is in the early phase? Help our audience understand the difference and what you mean by that.
Right. So the correlation between mobile home parks market and the overall market is actually much smaller. The correlation is much smaller than most other asset classes. The reason being, most of the mobile home park residents are not as affected by the economy as much as many of the other asset classes, because the residents, they tend to be sometimes a lot of them are Social Security, so their Social Security income is not affected by losing a job, because that's something that's very stable. And because the lot rents are incredibly low to start with, the economy going down, and at the end of it, I agree with you that we're in a recession and we're at the end of the economic boom, and the economy going down does not really trigger the losses in mobile home parks as it would in other asset classes, because the lot rents are incredibly low. So it starts at $200 to $150 in the Southeast, and sometimes lower, and then a little bit higher in the Midwest, and then higher definitely in the Western regions. Given that they're so low, they're still the best affordable housing option in the market, and people still need a place to live, and it's still the most affordable place in the market. So even the economy goes down, the mobile home park overall market, even though it is affected by the overall economic situations, but does not have as much correlation. So that's why I'm saying, yeah, go ahead.
Makes a lot of sense. It makes a lot of sense, because you're dealing with people who are looking at an affordable house, their mobile home that want to put on your park. They're essentially renting the lot.
Right.
They're tying into the water, the sewer, the electric, and then they're paying for that over and above their lot rent. And somebody that might be making on that lower income scale, they're going to continue to make some of that lower income. Maybe they have a job that's a lower income job or a fixed income social security type of situation, not going to be overall affected versus a highly compensated salesperson who works at a major medical device place or a pharmaceutical place, and that whole company decides to cut 30% of their workforce, and they just chop everybody off, right? And on Friday you're employed,
Right.
Friday afternoon you're not, and all of a
Mhm.
sudden those people's incomes go from $350,000 a year to zero. Those
Mhm.
people are greatly affected by a recession that we might be experiencing versus the client that you have. So my understanding when you say this is so close to the land business is because you're just, again, renting the lot, renting the land, the pad, and
Right.
essentially then charging them for whatever, water, sewer, gas, electric, whatever those amenities are, whatever the utilities are. Um, and so what's an ideal park for you? Like if you could describe the ideal park to invest in for you as an operator and for a limited partner to take a look at partnering on, what does that look like? Like if I had an extra whatever amount of dollars that I wanted to invest as an LP, or I was looking to be a general partner operator, help me understand the ideal park in your eyes.
So the ideal park would be anywhere around 20 to 30 lots. Sometimes it can be a little higher, but 20 to 30 lots, 100% tenant owned and over 90% occupied, and public water and sewer paid by the tenants, already sub-metered. So those are some of the most critical things that I look at, because all of those said to me that, they're paying for the utilities. That means it really, so the more it goes, the more it looks like a land business, the better the model is. So with the criteria that I just listed, the parameters that I just listed are very much supporting the land model.
Got it. I love it. Now I've got a buddy of mine who's a limited partner of ours, and he tells me he's looking at his first mobile home park deal. And as multifamily and a lot of the competition in multifamily has been going on, as you're aware of,
Mhm.
the preferred returns on those types of deals have kind of gotten compressed and gone down. Cap rates have gone down. But with mobile home parks, he tells me, look, I can still get like a 9 or a 10 pref on my limited partner investment. The cap rates are still really high. So help our audience understand the difference or some of the comparable numbers like interest rate comparison, cap rate comparison, preferred return comparison, because like you said, mobile home parks are still at that early stage of growth, which typically allows for higher returns, higher cap rates. So help me understand a comparison, because you've looked at multifamily a lot. That's almost a sector that you went into. I'm sure you're very schooled on what's going on there. Help us understand the comparable difference on what kind of return somebody could get both as an operator or as a limited partner when comparing the two.
Right. So the biggest, I think the best thing to do is give an example of a deal that we actually recently sold. So that deal was, we purchased the deal in June of 2020 for $325,000. And it was in the Midwest market, Iowa market, and it was approximately 20 lots. We sold it in May of 2022, and we sold it for $495,000. And the overall preferred rate of return to our limited partner investors is a cumulative 10% cash on cash pref.
Okay.
And then after that, it triggers a waterfall. But those are very, very attractive numbers. And at the end of the day, we were able to achieve over 18% internal rate of return within 22 months of holding time, and also over 19% of a annualized return after we sold the property. So that's just an example of what actually happened or we actually delivered.
Got it. I love it. It's fantastic. And you're bullish on that market. I'm bullish on it, even though I don't even own any mobile home parks, because affordable housing, right?
Right.
Like there isn't any. It's like literally there isn't any affordable housing being built. It's like everything that goes up is $400,000 or more,
That's right.
and the average American is getting boxed out. And a friend of mine is the chief economist. He's actually the vice president of market economics is his official title, but he's the economist for auction.com. And he was on the show the other day and he's like, look, Josh, the appreciation in single family homes has been slowing down, but it's still appreciating. It still used to be 15. Last year, it was 25% year over year. Now it's about 12.2. So you have an appreciating single family home market and you have increasing costs of debt, right? You have your 30-year fixed mortgage, which was previously at 3 or 3.5%. Now it's 5.5 to almost 6%. So the cost of the assets going up, the cost of the debt is going up, and the actual rise in the mortgage payment is up 51%.
Crazy.
What most people live on is their mortgage payment, right?
Right.
How much is the payment? How much is my car payment? How much is my house payment?
That's
so
right.
if they're paying $2,000 a year ago for their house payment, now it's $3,000. It's $1,000 difference in less than a year.
Right.
So affordable housing now becomes a major issue. Mobile home parks are obviously very affordable, but I've also heard, Charlotte, that a lot of municipalities, cities, they don't really want a lot of mobile home parks necessarily. So how can mobile home parks continue to be developed, built to solve more of this affordable housing issue? Help me understand, where does mobile home parks fit in there and how can it be part of the long-term solution?
Right. So you're exactly right in that cities and counties, the government, local governments usually are not really fond of mobile home parks because of the stigma, because they think is an eyesore, because the residents in the cities don't like it and they just don't think it provides any value. So you're right in that they really, really do not like this asset class. A lot of them do not like it unless they realize that it is actually adding value to the city, is actually providing a solution to the affordable housing crisis in the city. And they understand that. So some of them actually work with us to help us fill the lots. But most of them, mobile home parks are not being developed nationwide. They're extremely difficult to be developed because of the zoning and permitting process, and it's expensive. It is really, really excruciating. So that actually plays in the favor of mobile home park investors, because basic economics tell us that if the affordable housing crisis, the demand for affordable housing keeps growing and the supply is limited. It is limited because people do not allow them to be built. So this ever-growing demand and this steady supply kicks up the price. So unfortunately, given the way it is in the situation we're in right now, mobile home parks are being built, but very, very, very slowly, but not nearly enough to catch up with the demand. So that is actually good news for investors, because that means the rarer something is, the more precious it is, right? The more valuable something is. So that keeps the run high, and that keeps our mobile home park housing products valuable, and keeps investments valuable.
Keeps your parks full and your cash flow coming.
That's right. And you won't have to worry about an oversupply issue. So the problem is there, and we're here to solve it, but it's a booming business. It really is a business.
I love it.
Are you ready to automate and explode your real estate investing? We're searching for extremely motivated individuals who are sick and tired of wasting time and want to finally see real results from their real estate investing business. We're searching for investors looking to get to the next level and become a bigger, better version of themselves while being a more successful real estate investing entrepreneur. Apply for mentoring and coaching at joshcantwellcoaching.com/podcast. That's joshcantwellcoaching.com/podcast.
So it's not necessarily going to be a long-term solution by building more, because there's not really a lot of new development happening. However, if you're in to buy an existing park, do some kind of value add, then that park, because that park itself is a current solution to the home affordability issue, that allows you to charge more, which is going to give you more cash and a better rate of return to both the operator and the limited partner. I love it. I don't know how we're going to solve this, Charlotte, this affordable housing issue, because everywhere you turn, it's like there really isn't a solution to it.
It's always an issue, and it's always has been an issue, and it will be an issue for the foreseeable future. And for mobile home park investors, really, right now is a great time to invest because there are still a lot of mom and pop mobile home park owners out there. And what that tells me is that usually mom and pop mobile home park owners, they keep their lot rents pretty low. And there's a lot more meat on the bone, and there's a lot more room to raise the rent and bring it to market. Even if you raise the rent by $50, it's still way below market as far as the mobile home park lot rent versus the apartment rent. So it's not even comparable. There's a huge gap. So as long as the gap is there, the value of mobile home park is there, and the demand will be there because you are the most affordable, money for value housing product in the market.
I love it. Charlotte, let's switch gears a little bit and talk about your entrepreneurial journey. You left China at basically 16 years old with just your basic belongings, immigrated, first generation American citizen and a college graduate, very much in many ways, kind of achieving the American dream, if you will, that people talk about. And I'm sure that wasn't without its challenges. So it would be remiss of me not to ask you about that process and what it was like for you. And also to kind of tell your story, because there's so many people, if somebody can immigrate from a long way away to a new place with a new language and get a college education and become a successful investor, everybody should be able to do that, right? Everybody should be able
Very much so. Everybody should be able to do that. Yeah, I always hold the belief that if I could do that, everybody should be able to do that. And I think maybe it is, for me, the challenges turned into an advantage. Because I was not born in the United States. I was not given the resources that many of my fellow Americans were born with. So I think that, if you're born with something, you don't appreciate something as much as you would if you had to fight for something, right? So growing up, if you, keep asking your parents for money and it's just given to you, you probably don't care how much you spend because you didn't work hard for it. You don't understand. So for me, really, the challenges, every single step was a challenge. I really got on that plane at 16 years old. I did not speak English, very little. I had to learn everything from scratch. And I had to, everything was new to me. It was challenging, at the same time exciting. Every single day was a challenge. But again, I took the challenge as an opportunity to grow everything. But I think the biggest thing is that you have to have that drive. You have to have that desire to succeed. You have to have a goal. And you might not know what to do exactly. I did not know what to do exactly at 16 years old. I did not know exactly, as this little short 16-year-old little girl getting on the plane, barely speaking any English, knowing exactly how to be a founder at a private equity firm doing mobile home parks, right? So that was, 11 years ago, but you figure things out as you go. But the most important thing is you have to take action to really apply yourself, really apply yourself, taking actions and really try every single option that you can have and really force yourself. Sometimes be tough a little bit, give yourself a little bit tough love. An example would be the first day I arrived at my host family. Again, I did not know those host family people, and they could literally be anything, and I could have been kidnapped and everything. But I met my host family, and they were very, very kind, and they got me a Chinese cookbook. And they were saying that, if you want Chinese food, I can cook for you. And I pretty much told her that I do not want anything Chinese. I'm here in America. I travel thousands of miles over here not to have Chinese food. So I told her that I'm here for the long haul, and I have to get used to everything here, and getting used to the food is the first step to being successful and to really integrate. And
early on, what was your favorite American food that you had? Was it cheeseburgers and hot dogs and French?
I actually did not like cheeseburgers at all. Part of it is because of my host family is in the Northeast and the flavors are pretty bland. But I think my favorite food, that's a really good question. I think maybe like American breakfast, I would say. That's very different, and I really think it's good. I really like American breakfast. And now if I go abroad for a period of time, I think American breakfast is something that I definitely miss.
Like, you mean like bag eggs and bacon and toast and
That's
like,
right. Yeah. Oh, it's good. It's good. It's good.
what is breakfast like in China? Like why was it so different?
Breakfast in China is usually salty and just some congee with an egg maybe, and maybe just a little bit of meat, but it's not bacon. It's not really strong flavored or anything.
Okay.
But American breakfast has more sweet to it. Obviously, you've got pancake syrup. It's like dessert. That's breakfast for champions, right? So you got you got sweet stuff, and you have bacon. You have all the good greasy goodness. So I love it. I love it. That's definitely different.
So what do you think, somebody that comes over and starts from scratch, 16, gets this host family take care of you? They were sweet, they were great, very supportive. How does that translate into a college education? And then what happens from college to starting a private equity fund and figuring out mobile home parks? I agree with you that the lack of that, whether it was education, language, resources, money, can be a major driver to say, like, well, look at all this opportunity around me. I can go make of whatever I want out of this.
Right.
Versus other people. And I do agree. I have 3 young kids, 14, 12, and 10. And right now I'm in this, having this constant conversation in my own mind about not spoiling them.
That's right. Yeah.
Part of my success is the fact that my father filed for bankruptcy when I was in 6th grade. I grew up in a 1,200 square foot ranch with an unfinished basement.
Mhm.
I got the brown Bomber, was my grandmother's car when I turned 16. That was barely running.
Right.
Get any of these things that my kids can now afford, and I can afford to give them 10 times over.
Right.
So not having is the motivation to have.
That's
right.
right.
Sounds
Yes.
like that's where that came from for you.
That's right. Exactly. Not having is the motivation to have it. And it's interesting because I work extremely hard. You got to work extremely hard, right? So I did not speak English. So you have to force yourself to speak to Americans, really. I am one now, but at the time I really forced myself to speak to everybody that I could, just to practice, right? They may laugh at you, but whatever, right? So you have to apply yourself, and you have to work hard. You have to, really, really, really study hard if you want to get into American college. And the whole process, no one figured out it for me, because, usually American kids, if you're applying for a college, their parents usually coach them a little bit. Okay, here is what we need to do. I had none of that. So I figured out everything by myself, and everything was research. I really, really understood from a young age that not only do I need to work hard, but I also need to leverage people. So that's one thing I learned, very, very important. So if you're on your own, you don't want to do things alone, even though you are alone technically, but there are people around you that you can work with, partner with, be friends with, ask for advice for. I would go into our principal's office and straight up ask him to tutor my SATs.
Okay.
English. Yeah. So you just have to be not afraid to ask for that. And our principal was extremely kind and really just tutored me like for a week. And then that really helps. And, when you have no partners, I had no one to meet into college. So you really have to turn someone into your partner, and you really have to leverage, right? You don't have your parents here. Like your kids, they probably have you to help them when they go through the college phase and move into college and drive them to college. I had none of that. So you have to, as a child who has nothing to protect you, you have to protect yourself, and you have to seek help in a way that you make yourself valuable to people. And in turn, people will want to partner with you and help you as well. So you have to, I guess, as a young age, I learned how to provide value, make myself useful, because yeah.
I was going to ask you about advice, but you really just kind of gave it right there, right? Seeking other people to partner with, making friends and building relationships, and then leveraging those relationships, asking questions, seeking advice, not being afraid to stumble or to not know the language, or not to be afraid to walk into the principal's office and ask for help on the SATs. And again, I think the more in our American culture that we baby our kids, the less they're capable of going and seeking advice, the less they're capable of going and asking for help because they're afraid to be embarrassed, or my friend already has the answer, or this was already done for them and I don't have it done for me and I'm afraid to stick out. I'm afraid to, and you, knowing nobody, like one of the things that resonates with me is you were not afraid to ask for help and be embarrassed, right? That
right.
sounds so basic, but so many kids today, including some of my own kids, they're afraid to like go do something for the fear of being laughed at or embarrassed. And I think a lot of adults, Charlotte, carry that same insecurity that
Right.
I'm not going to go ask about mobile home park investing because I'm afraid of what somebody might say. I'm
That's
not
right.
going to invest, or I'm not going to go pick up a book, or I'm not going to go to a seminar. I'm not going to listen to a podcast. I'm not going to make an offer. I'm not going to go recruit capital because it's going to make me feel bad.
Exactly. And to your point, I think, like, again, challenges is what can drive people. And when you have that many challenges, I was pretty much in survival mode. And when you're in survival mode, being embarrassed is the last thing that worries you, that worries me. If you're about to die and you have to survive, being embarrassed is the least of your worries. So of course I had to do that. If I was very well pampered and protected, maybe I wouldn't do that. But the thing is, if I was in survival mode and being embarrassed is not, it didn't even come across my mind. It's just something I had to do. So I think you have to push yourself over the cliff and just make yourself jump. That's really it. And not everybody is, I think, fit to do that because everybody has different personalities. But I think for me, at least, that's what happened.
Oh my God, Charlotte, that I want to end on that because I think that's such a powerful message for our audience, no matter what they're doing, whether it's investing in as a general partner, limited partner, whether they're not investing yet, but just learning about it. That message that you just conveyed is so critical on a personal level, not necessarily a business level, but a personal level, to just make that happen. And, when you're in survival mode, man, I can tell you the times in business when I have probably accomplished the most is when I was most desperate, when something went wrong, some deal was going sideways or backwards, or, I've been in a fight with my wife about something that was money related. And all of a sudden I had to get really creative to course correct whatever that problem was.
Right.
I accomplished the most, again, because I was, in some cases, in survival mode.
That's right. You kick yourself into overdrive, and you just have to, if you cannot fail, you cannot fail. There's no turning back. There's no, it cannot fail. So that really puts you in a position to really work the hardest.
Yeah. Oh man, I love this interview, Charlotte. Thank you so much for sharing your personal journey. I'm sure our team can go connect with you on social media, become an investor with you, learn more about you. Where can they do that?
Yeah, so the best way to reach out to me is to go to our website at johnscreekcapital.com. And there you can hit contact, and we'll usually reach out within the same business day. And of course, you can also find myself and Johns Creek Capital on LinkedIn.
Okay. LinkedIn and their website, johnscreekcapital.com. Charlotte, listen, I had a blast getting to know you today. Thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you so much for having me.
Well, guys, there you have it. I hope you enjoyed that interview with Charlotte. If you did, please push down, hit the subscribe button on the Accelerated Investor Podcast, whether it's on iTunes, Spotify, YouTube, wherever you find it. Share this interview all over social media. And if you or your parents are immigrants and this resonated with you, please leave us a review, a rating. Let us know how we did. So many of us in the United States is just such a melting pot for all these people coming in with nothing that have become major success stories, just like Charlotte. I really think it's important to recognize what an amazing world we live in, but what an amazing country we live in the United States that would allow my immigrant grandparents to immigrate, my wife's immigrant parents coming from Italy, Charlotte, immigrant from China, and what an amazing place the United States is for entrepreneurship. If you agree with that, leave us a rating, leave us a review, give us some feedback, let us know, share this episode all over social media. I would be so grateful. Thank you so much for joining me today on Accelerated Investor, and we'll see you next time.
You were just listening to the Accelerated Investor Podcast with Josh Cantwell. If you enjoyed this episode and learned something new, help us build the AI community by leaving a review and 5-star rating on our iTunes podcast channel. Also, don't forget to subscribe so you never miss another episode. To see passive investing opportunities, visit freelandventures.com/passive. To start your journey toward the lifestyle you've always dreamed of with multifamily apartments, apply for one-on-one coaching with Josh at www.joshcantwellcoaching.com.